Hi, this is Ross Payton here with Role Play in Public Radio, and this is episode 22, Get Your Fear On, a look at how to run scary games in role RPGs. So.
And this is something I'm sure you're going to be all over, Ross.
Yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about, Tom. You don't
topical. You don't
October.
like, you don't like fear, and it's not Halloween.
Well, it's not Halloween, Tom.
Yet.
Yeah. So think about that.
The shops are open, and
yeah, it's October, so I mean, whatever. I'm going to see a Dracula stage production of that.
Oh yeah, I've seen posters for that all downtown.
Yeah, if you're in Springfield, Missouri, you should go check it out. There's blood and partial nudity.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so it's been a while since we had an episode. We've been doing a lot of other stuff, but this is October Scary Month. We got a couple of actual plays of horror games that we ran, that I ran earlier.
Yeah, some other horror games.
Interview with Ben Baugh, the creator of Monsters and Other Childish Things, a writer for Vampire, The Requiem, and a bunch of other freaky stuff. So you can keep an eye out for that stuff. We, of course, will have another episode this month, a couple weeks.
Yeah, I got a horror game coming up for my very squeamish group.
Oh, yes. So why don't we get into the topic? Now, basically, since it is that time of year that a lot of you are going to be wanting to run horror games, either one-shots or campaigns or what have you. So we're just going to go over some of the basic advice, a couple of advanced tips on how to run a scary game, how to play in a scary game, and how to have a really good time, getting freaked out at the game table. So the main thing is that it's a little harder than running a casual game. In fact, it can be a lot harder than running a beer and pretzel game, where everybody sort of
the beer and pretzels game kind of just comes naturally.
Right. I mean, that's everyone's breaking the fourth walls. Everybody's making jokes. Nobody's taking it too seriously.
And quoting Monty Python.
Yeah, well,
They always do that.
Yeah, or Portal song or something like that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Good song, though.
Yeah, that's kind of, been run into the ground. Nerds run everything into the ground. Nerds. Anyways.
See, this is the kind of shit we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Or, over 9,000. So.
Oh, shit.
How do you run a scary game? How do you get people actually freaked out in a game? And it's harder to do, but it can be done. So,
first, I would say probably want to know what kind of horror you're going to run first.
Right.
There's two basic kinds, basically.
There is
there's investigative horror.
Yeah, investigation and survival. Now, obviously, Call of Cthulhu. Most horror games, when you think of horror games, you think of Call of Cthulhu, and
it's kind of the quintessential horror game there.
And the basic structure of that is that the players are presented with a mystery that they must solve, and the horror comes through the gradual revelation of whatever the secret is, whatever the mystery is, like peeling an onion with many different layers.
And each layer is more horrific than the next.
Yeah, like one layer is a zombie, then the second layer is a ghoul, and then the third layer is
a Shoggoth.
Shoggoth, and then, at the core is the nuclear, Daemon Sultan Azathoth, the blind idiot god who controls the universe, and you get the idea. So
you generally are mad or dead by then.
Well, not necessarily, but that's
what games have you been running, Ross? That's always the way they go.
Well, anyways, and then there's survival horror, which is of course
it's like boom, you're in it now, live.
Right, it's more action oriented.
The mystery, all flesh must be eaten. It's kind of like
right zombie games. There's a lot of World of Darkness games, things like that. World of Darkness games can be either survival or investigation. Mm-hmm. So, in general, if there's a mystery to solve, it's investigation. Otherwise, it's survival. But
also, generally, and the players are not as powerful in horror games as other games, I've discovered.
So, that's one of the main things. So, what we've come up with is this little list of the main trait. If you want to run a horror game, here's a couple of things you want to keep in mind. I think the first thing you want to do is sort of set the social contract for horror. Now, social contract, what the hell is that?
Whoa, Ross is using a weird educational term here.
Well, it's an indie RPG design theory and things like that. The social contract is basically what everyone agrees to at the table, in order basically, that you're going to be a polite human being, that you're not going to creep out other players, things like that. Now, what you want to do is sort of basically ahead of time talk to the players and tell them, I want to run a scary game. So to that end, I would appreciate it if everyone took it a little more seriously, tried to keep the off jokes to a minimum.
Mention what we're going to do, and then give the list of demands.
Yeah. Well, not demands, just like don't come here and be a jackass like you normally are. This is a different type of game. I'm trying to do something a little freakier.
Let's keep the table banter to a minimum.
Right, unless it's relating to the game. I mean, just the jokes and things like that. So that's the first thing to do. So everybody's on the same page. So that would be the first thing to do. I think the second thing, though, is to get the mood right. And the mood is obviously the external atmosphere, the actual how the mood is at the place where you're running the game.
Lighting, music,
right?
That kind of. It gets kind of hard to be scary when you're playing, Barbie Girl or something on the radio.
Right, or you have
true story, by the way.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Someone was running a horror game with us. I believe it was World of Darkness. We were playing Mortals.
Yeah.
And the music he was playing was pretty much almost a J-pop group.
Yeah.
But it was a mixed CD, so also Barbie Girl came on right as one of the horrible monsters was coming out of the sewer. You can imagine by that point, after steady diet of J-pop, no one was really in a freaky mood.
Right. Yeah. That's that would really kill the mood. Who was running that?
This was my long ago, not now friend Dan.
I see.
You know who he was.
Yeah.
You remember him.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So basically, or it's not even necessarily something as obvious as that, just having all the lights on, having the TV on in the background, having someone playing Xbox in the next room or something like that.
Porn everywhere?
Well, that's a pretty extreme example. So you want to turn off a couple of the lights.
Get rid of external distractions.
Yeah, external distractions so they focus on the game. Make sure players aren't, no one brings their cell phone or plays the Nintendo DS or makes characters for other games at the table, or try and keep that to a minimum. And, just ask everyone tries to focus on the game. You can also, and then obviously the next thing is music, aside from lighting.
Obviously, and a big one you use is the Silent Hill soundtracks.
Right. We don't usually have music in the games that we record because obviously
that's it. Yeah, buggers up the recording.
Yeah, and copyright reasons too, probably. So what we do, so either have silence or try to have appropriate. The main thing is not to have music with lyrics in it. So just like low key, ambient, kind of scary music. If you can get one thing, if you're really ambitious, we'll talk this a little about later. You might get a laptop or a device and cue it up with the various sound effects to be played at specific times.
But when you do that, actually, be ready to do it.
Yeah.
I've been in games where they've been like, it's like, all right, and you comes up, wait, let me find the song here, and then spends 30 seconds trying to find the song. And by then, gamer minds are left to wander.
Yeah. So again, that's the thing you want to avoid, and we'll get in more. That's more of an advanced technique. So either have it on so you can focus on the game and totally ignore the music, or just don't do it.
Or a good silence can be really good.
Yeah, good silence is very appropriate for horror. So that's the main thing. So set the mood, and then obviously then the next thing is in the game. Set the in-game tone of it. And this is sort of setting the atmosphere, the mood, through how you run the game. And there's a lot of different tricks you can do to do this.
Way more than we really have time to mention here.
Right. Well,
we'll go, but I think some of them obviously are pretty obvious.
Descriptions. Describe things a little, everything has a little sinister edge.
Don't just say there's a dead body there.
Yeah.
Say there's a dead body that's been savaged by what looks like an animal attack.
You can see bones exposed, the sticking out from the torn meat, blood spattered everywhere, the fetid stench of the corpse, assaults your senses.
But don't get so much description that it starts sounding like purple prose.
Well, I mean a couple of key phrases, like the lips have been torn off, giving it the appearance of a savage, grin, or something like that. Something really, a few freaky details enough to unsettle someone, or the death rattle of a corpse. Just and even normal things. Describe pedestrians having a mean look in their eye, or callously ignoring you, or the
guy behind the hotel. You think you see gills on the side of his head.
And just for a moment, and then he disappears in the crowd or something like that. So, look at horror movies and how they set the mood.
Yeah, I remember a game Sean once did.
Yeah,
it was old World of Darkness, and we were playing with FBI agents. Of course, our car broke down. Well, actually, we blew a tire out that we later found out that was wrapped up in we had barbed wire that had been placed across the road. Another good thing, disable the card at an inopportune time.
Yeah.
But,
Isolate the players.
But Sean did a great thing. He actually, beforehand, closed all the blinds. This was in David's old house.
Right.
And we were walking along a gravel road, and he made it really quiet. He had no music playing, and then he said, like, you stop, you still hear gravel footsteps behind you. That alone, just the how quietly he did it.
Yeah. Yeah, that
really worked really well.
That's the thing. I mean, it's sort of like telling a ghost story, telling a scary story around a campfire. So a lot of the same cheap theatrics and things like that will work the same way.
I don't know about the whole flashlight under the face thing.
Actually, yeah, that's more of an advanced thing. But the theatrics are very important in a horror game.
Doing voices can help too.
So,
yeah,
there we go. Yeah,
I remember one thing I remember from you're good at is doing freaky kids. You're pretty good at that.
Okay.
Because I think a kid saying freaky things is actually scarier than an adult.
Oh
saying
yeah. No joke. I mean, the only thing worse is a scary clown. So.
Oh God, fuck.
Or any type of clown.
Yeah, clowns. Just clowns.
Yeah, fuck those guys. So, but yeah, you said you're talking a lot of voice acting sort of thing, voices that you do for your horror games.
It has to be a group I'm kind of comfortable with, because otherwise, I admit, I'm a little tight in the asshole.
Right.
So now, but if it's with a group I really know, I can cut loose. And last year, they requested a horror game of me.
Yeah.
And I told them, I think I mentioned this before, like, all right, I'm going to do a horror game, though. First of all, they weren't powerful. That threw them for a loop. But the number of the NPCs I did weren't really that, they weren't scary. They weren't part of the evil plot. But the voice I used for them freaked the players the fuck out.
Okay.
I don't even think I could do the voices now.
What type of voice was it?
It was kind of a high pitched squeaky voice.
Oh yeah.
Hi there. Yeah, kind of. Cackle. He cackled a lot.
I'm gonna rip your soul out.
Except it was just the guy directing them around town.
Okay.
And also, that's all he was, just a guy that directed people around this.
Yeah, that's
town.
the thing. Red herrings have freaky people that the players think is, oh god, he must be demon possessed, but no, he's just there for color. Basically.
There's another guy. Just he laughed a very almost inaudible laugh, but done in such a way that.
Right.
Every time I can still do it to Aaron, by the way, and still freak him out.
He's a featherweight, though.
Oh yeah,
so.
Yeah, he is.
So voices, descriptions, locales where you choose, just little bits, just give everything sort of an off kilter, unnatural feel.
Yeah, it's like make a familiar, safe place freaky and dark.
Well, yeah. This is getting into what is scary. So, what are the things that will actually freak a player out? And that's one of the big ones. The corruption, the subversion of the familiar, turning the safe
a suburban house into a or even better, a hospital.
Right. Silent Hill is basically the perfect thing to look at because you go from a normal town to the fog-filled town to the evil demon-possessed town. It's the same place, but it all changes. Of course, though, the biggest single thing, though, I mean that's pretty big, but the biggest single thing that will freak players out, or that is the biggest theme in horror, is fear of the unknown.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's the Lovecraft stuff. Is the unknowableness of the mythos and how we'll just go crazy trying to figure it out and that sort of thing. But one of the best times I was running years ago, I was running this Rifts game, and Tom was one of the players, Josh was another, and they're both Rifts characters pretty powerful, but I had them explore this abandoned military base that they had found, and it was underground, it was decrepit, post-apocalyptic, blah blah blah, and they got down into it, and then I just said the light, there were still some flickering lights, and then I just said the lights go out and you hear movement, something's in there with you, and both you and the other player is Josh just freak the fuck out, like, oh fuck, we need to get the fuck out of here, there's something in here with us, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, and both of you just tore ass out there, and you never went back. You just didn't want to find out what that thing was. So I mean, and it was just simple, and I loved how just it wasn't a major thing, I was just throwing you a little curveball and you just totally went for it, and that was just great. So fear of the unknown, the players aren't going to have the full picture, and try and obscure the picture of the scenario so they don't know what's going on. So they don't know that it's this type of monster. It's just a thing, and the thing is trying to get them.
I noticed, like, not just you, but everyone I played Call of Cthulhu with never just flat out says what the thing is, even if the players are utterly familiar with the Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Actually, one person who was not a very good GM actually said, "All right," and then a Shoggoth appears. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
But you're saying, if you just describe it as the
a protean mass of flesh undulating and wriggling tentacles, the amorphous blob, of a translucent gel-like material with eyes and mouths coming at you, 1,000 voices screaming out of it. That's a little bit.
Yeah, or the game we did at Gen Con.
Yeah.
When I was taken to the side because I actually rolled a crit on my notice check. And he said, you can see your British officer's shadow has there's a tail and looks serpentine. Like, I knew it was a serpent man,
right?
And I knew that the gun I had would probably take him out in 1 or 2 hits,
right?
But he never said what it was,
right?
That worked a lot better. So I got into it.
Yeah, exactly. So. The other one from last year, the Star Vampire. I knew what it was, but it was still just a thing to me. So
and you fell off the Zeppelin.
Yeah,
that was great.
That was fun. So the first things of what is scary, the fear of the unknown, the subversion, the corruption of the familiar, the safe. Then of course there is making the characters not powerful. Now there's a very fine balance between too weak to do anything and too powerful to be scared by anything.
My example, I ran that game, the horror game with last Halloween and Mutants and Masterminds.
Yeah.
My groups played that. They're familiar with it. But they're used to playing the power level 10 characters or above.
Right.
I made them power level 3.
Wow.
And it was weird to see them actually conservatively going into battle or not. Like thinking, oh, God, can we take this thing? And I made them, also nothing. I made them keep track of the amount of ammo they had.
Nice.
I mean, they never. Normally, it's just we keep shooting until it's dead, and then for effect, we drop the clip out of the gun and ram another one in.
Right. Different genre. Yeah, that's not horror.
No, it's not. And
I mean, that's again sort of one of the tricks Resident Evil does to make the game effective is that you have to count each bullet and everything that you find in the game to there's. God knows how many zombies, but you're only going to find so many green herbs and bullets to take them down.
Yeah, and the same thing. I had some things come at them that were scary, but not particularly powerful. Right. They didn't want to fight them because they thought they never had a chance.
Right. See, they didn't know what was strong and what was weak. It was all like, get us the hell out of here. So.
Though of course they were also paranoid because they were all playing members of a mob crew.
Yeah.
And one of the players, they were all pre-gen that I made.
Right.
And one of them was an undercover FBI agent.
And
of course, Aaron wanted to be that one.
Yeah.
Because he can't play evil. I knew, but he's not very good at lying.
No.
So when he was supposed, I actually had on a sheet. You need to check in at 7:00. They're waiting for your call. So I said, I went to, he's actually in game. He said, hey, what time is it around? It's like, that's about 6:50. He said, guys, I need to step outside for a moment. Don't follow me.
Wow, that's not a very good.
But a common thing in horror, they kept using him as a shield. Yeah. Like, you go. It's like, you first. Like, no, you go first. Pointing the guns at him.
Wow.
He did. It was really interesting to see groups used to playing powerful characters.
Right. So again, you can't. The everyman is inherently more scary than the superhero badass. So the main thing, though, is obviously you don't want to make them too weak that victory is impossible. You want to give them a chance, stack the odds against them, but victory has to be possible. Otherwise, players will just give up. Yeah,
it still needs to be, the fight or flight reflex needs to be flight more than not.
Right.
But if you just make it, they can't do shit.
Yeah.
Then they're not. I don't care what the mood is, they're not going to like it.
Right, exactly. So, there's this fine balance between that two.
Or it doesn't even have to be full victory, but give them some small victories.
Right. Yeah, they don't have to save the world, but in Call of Cthulhu, not stopping the mythos because that's impossible.
It's delaying it.
Delaying it. I mean, that's its whole mantra of Delta Green, is sacrificing everything in order to delay the end times for who knows how much longer. So,
and but let them let them rescue the person the cult's going to sacrifice, or
right. Or, maybe they trap the monster for a while, or banish it temporarily.
Or seal it into a house.
Right, exactly.
Which then they have to, take turns guarding.
But on the other hand, don't be afraid to make them fail. I mean, because that can be just as, it just depends on how it goes. Let the players determine how they go. I mean, I've done haunted house scenarios where the players have won. I've done haunted house scenarios where the players, fucked up and the house won, basically.
And there's been some other games where we just all turned on each other.
Yeah, no, there's been that as well. So, make sure in horror it's very important that the players feel like they have some control over it, some power over their own fate. Because if they don't have any power over their own fate, they won't buy into it.
Actually, that's a fun fact. My group said that's the main reason they don't want to play Call of Cthulhu, because they say because there's no chance of us ever stopping it.
Well,
they don't want that.
You should try Fear itself. The game that.
I know that, but that's one thing. That's one of their complaints of horror, is that it's like, we're never going to actually win, in the long run. Like, we're never going to stand victorious over Cthulhu. Like, no, you're not.
You're missing the point. I mean, it's the ride as well. So, and of course, the single most important thing about running a horror game, though, I think, is, and this is the really key to it, is the timing, the pacing of it. Now,
don't throw your big scare right at first.
Well, no, you can't. No, the thing is variation. Now, if you look at really great horror movies, horror novels, there's this structure, this pattern to it, this rhythm almost. It's very musical in a way. First you have the smash, the kill scene. The monster attacks, kills somebody, and then it sort of calms down afterwards. The play, and then the
calm
other
you down to lull you to the next one.
The character, it's still tense right after the kill, but the other characters find the body. They try and figure out what to do. They start you ramping up the tension, the suspense. Remember, suspense is uncertainty about what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I remember that when we were watching Severance.
Yeah.
They did that.
Yeah, so you don't know what's going to happen next. And then, bam, another one. So it's, like Beethoven. First he'll have, nice lull, and then he'll just slam you with a powerful piece, or any, piece of music, really. So that's the key in horror. So you can start out with a really heavy scare right at the beginning, right off the bat, if you really wanted to be a bastard about it. One of the NPCs kills gets right off the bat, but then just back off, let the players react to it, let them figure out what they're going to do next, and then have the monster start, closing in on them again. So again, the key is this timing. You have to learn when players are ripe to be scared and when they need some time to recover, because the danger is if you hit them with horror nonstop, just slam, 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 they will get numb to it and they will give up.
Or they'll get so uncomfortable they don't want to play anymore.
Or they'll just make a joke out of it. In other words, you'll fail. In any case,
the mood will be broken.
Yeah. So it's lighter than you think. I mean, be a little conservative and see. It really depends on how well you can judge your players' reactions to it and how much they're getting into it. So if they're really getting into it, they'll really dig it. And but just you can always add more horror later on, but it's harder to take it out. Yeah. So just bump it up incrementally. So. Which means, if you present what you think is going to be a badass scare, monster jumps out of the closet, and they're like, okay, fuck, well, we'll shotgun it and run away. Just be like, all right, well, okay, that monster gets killed, whatever. And then you realize there's actually two of them, or, one of them grabs your foot from...
or that one was actually the infant monster.
Yeah, or that one was already dead, or that was actually happened to be the corpse of... someone made up to look like a monster, a victim of the monster. It was transforming into a monster.
Yeah.
Or any number of things. The main thing is try and hit them with angles that they don't expect. And of course, the danger is also you can't just go all Deus Ex Machina and just like, all right, fuck you, I am going to scare you no matter what. If you can't scare them after what you think is a big scare and you try and twist it around a little bit and it doesn't work, just back off, be like, all right, fine, we'll try again. Don't just keep hitting them until you think you get them. Just be aware that you're not always going to scare them. So be ready to concede, because again, it's a very fine line. There's a very sort of rhythm you have to develop. So
yeah.
And again, so each playing group is different. So what works on one group won't work on another. So yeah.
Know your group.
Yeah.
Actually, that's good for any game. Know your
That's
group.
true. That's one of our mantras, I think, is know your group, know what they want, and give it to them, and make sure you have fun doing it too. Yeah. And as a player, now of course, all this applies to as a player as well. And the main thing as a player is buy into it.
Yeah, you have to make the effort to buy into it.
Yeah, and don't metagame, and be ready to give up power. Don't be like, I have to be a powerful badass. Be ready, you can have fun by letting go and being a weaker person than you normally are. Or that, that you're a normal character that you're not used to, It's about that variation. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so those are the basic techniques. The basic, what we think.
The 101 shit.
Yeah. So now we've already mentioned a little bit about this advanced stuff. And this is where it starts to get theatrical, and this is where it starts to get difficult. So let's start talking about some of the advanced stuff. So advanced gaming. Now this is where you start getting into the theatrics, and the theatrical stuff. I mean, this is where you get really advanced, really elaborate stuff, and
stuff you have to prepare ahead of time.
Oh yeah, a lot ahead of time, and where it almost becomes like a staged production, And
I've seen Gwar stage shows, man.
Yeah,
that's theatrical.
Yeah, exactly. Now you don't need buckets of fake blood or whatever,
or semen in that case.
Well, yeah, that's not really horror. That's something else altogether, Tom. But
go to the show, you'll know.
Yeah. What you do need, though, is the fact is these can really, really pay off. They can make your game a memorable, legendary game. But the problem is it's very hard to pull off. If you don't have the basics down, you're not going to be able to do these advanced techniques, these advanced things. Now, one of the first things you already mentioned was the laptop. Now, having the sort of, I guess, a lower level advanced technique would be having a laptop or a device ready to play queued up sound effects. Mm-hmm. And that just means you have to be on top of your game and know exactly when to do it and have it ready to go. Like you said, Tom, you can't just have the guy waiting around 30 seconds to find the right song.
Like my friend Andy, he runs a great game, and he has like music set up for different scenes, but the thing is they're not queued up, so he has to go searching for them.
Yeah.
So there's like 10 to 30 seconds of him looking for music, and gamers' minds wander.
They leave the mind of their character, and that's that. So
the moment that happens, it takes a long time to get back in.
Right. Now, let me just describe one advanced game that I've heard about on the internet that was RPG.net. Basically, it was a Call of Cthulhu one-shot set in a submarine. I think it was a World War I U-boat. Yeah, pretty freaky.
Yeah.
So what they did was the GM ran it at his house and had the lights. He switched out he only had a couple lights on, and they were all switched out with red light bulbs. So
Submarine emergency lighting.
Right. And then maybe and then flashlights. That was it. Electric torches, as they were called back then. And then whenever a player went to a different section of the submarine that the rest of the players were at, he had to leave the room and the GM would tell him what was going to happen. And then the player would have to stay there and communicate with a walkie-talkie to the other players.
Nice.
So players were really physically isolated in a dark house with a walkie-talkie and a flashlight, as they know this creepy shit was going on. And obviously, he probably had some music and some sound effects. The creaking of the sub as it's in the depths and
maybe
things like that.
Sonar ping or something.
Yeah, but you can just imagine. That may sound kind of simple to run, but you have to know.
That's a lot of planning ahead of time.
The main thing, the scenario, you have to understand perfectly, inside and out, so that in a moment how players' action is going to change it, how it's going to affect this timeline, everything else. You need to know the submarines in and out and things like that. So you just have to be on top of your game.
Yeah, the Gen Con games are like that. Yeah. I think we commented before after the year before last. I knew more about Zeppelins than I ever did.
Right. Now imagine if he'd actually had us in different rooms to represent the Zeppelin sound effects, lowered lights, things like that. We'd be that much more immersed. So that's one thing. So the main thing is It's making the playing area more of a theater, of a stage.
I heard of another one on the internets too.
Okay.
It was a guy was doing a detective, like, police-based horror game.
Yeah.
And had spent, like, actually most of the week before the game just clipping out newspaper articles.
Yeah.
Like, I think he said he had over 200 of them.
Yeah.
And then just taped them or thumbtacked them to the wall.
Yeah.
And these weren't even, scary. There was, like, football games and shit. But when you have, like, 200 newspaper clippings strewn out all over one wall,
Right.
it doesn't matter what they say. It looks like some psychopath's, shrine to whatever.
Right, exactly. So again, think of the place you play the games as a theater, as a stage, and build it appropriately. Now, of course, the other theatrical thing is props. Think of gimmicky props, more advanced props. Now, we've been thinking about, like, really detailed handouts, like bloodstained parchments, or I think you mentioned autopsy photos or crime scene photos.
Yeah.
Stuff that takes a little work to find, to dig up, the things that would be appropriate.
Or just go to rotten.com and then Photoshop some,
Right, if your players can handle that kind of thing, that kind of level of gore. Another thing, one of the things we're working on at RPPR is the sort of a audio handout that we're not going to spoil yet, but it's going to be sort of like a little radio show.
A couple of them.
At least. You can play those during the game. So we actually used one in...
the number station.
Yeah. Now, that's the music we're using for this episode. And what a number station is a creepy shortwave radio station that mysteriously broadcasts numbers at random times. And people believe they're used by intelligence agencies to send messages to agents, that they're encrypted messages. But when you listen to them, it's some pretty Silent Hill shit. I mean, it's some pretty freaky shit. And I used recordings of them in a game that we have recorded, so you'll be able to hear it too. We'll post it in a couple days. And that really, Cody, I know, was really freaked out by that.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to
I was like, I'm actually like, dude, I'm loving this.
Yeah. So
it is so simple but so effective.
Yeah, just playing the right sound effect at the right time, the right handout.
If you just had some guy just reading numbers, that's not scary. But just make it.
It was a little girl's voice. It had the creepy static and had a little music to it. I mean, yeah, it was really.
It was good.
Yeah. So, and you can download these number stations for free off the internet. So use them for your own games. Think of your own way to use them, and think about that. So the main thing. So again, when you want to get advanced, when you want to run a really memorable game, think theater. Think, one thing we haven't mentioned so far: costumes. Costume might try that. I mean, obviously that's probably gimmicky, but maybe you have an assistant, an actor who's waiting in the closet nearby, ready to jump out. I mean, again, that gets really gimmicky.
Yeah.
And so again, the problem is if you go too far with this gimmicky theatrical stuff, that your players would be like, all right, this is stupid, this is gay, this is dumb. So there's this fine line to balance, in other words. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you'll hit it right out of the park, sometimes you won't. So
sometimes you strike out. It happens.
So if you have any ideas on other theatrical things to run, of other types of really advanced things you'd run, we'd love to hear them. Post them on the thread, on the comments for this side, post them on the forums, email us, we'll post it in the next episode, which we'll have before the end of October. So any other comments on running a scary game to get your fear on?
I would have to say want to be scared, I think is...
Yeah, again, you have to buy into it. You have to want to be.
But to me, that's the most important thing I can think of, really, is if you have people that just don't want to be scared, either because, come on, like I don't get scared, or I scare really easy, so I don't want to. Yeah. I get more of the latter myself. But
yeah, because you run with featherweights.
Yeah, I do. I really do.
I mean, yeah, I hate, although I hate the opposite. The guy's like, oh, I don't get scared of anything. Well, it's a movie. It's not real. It's a fake projection on a video. It's a two-dimensional projection.
So, if you're gonna take the ride, then take the ride.
Yeah, don't. You're not winning any tough guy awards by not being scared by a movie.
That's the guy that goes to a horror movie and he's like, come on, that head wasn't really cut off.
Yeah,
that blood's not real.
You're missing the point. It's an emotional thrill to be scared, to really get involved with it. I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's the point, is to have fun and to be thrilled, to be terrified, to have that chill go up your spine. I mean, that really affects you. So, anyways. So, that's how to get your fear on. Anyways, if you have any questions, comments, or if, about this, feel free to email us, post on our site, post a comment on the main site or the forums. And when we come back, we'll have a letter with Tom, some anecdotes, shout-outs, and God knows what
All
else.
the rest of the shit you've come to expect from us.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, letters from Tom. As of my last letter, I'm beginning to think that my bold-faced admission of lying and cheating may not have been the wisest thing to do. Whenever Ross greets the gaming group now, there's a sequential chorus of, "Hey, what's up?" and, "Oh look, the one who is forever dead to me." It's a little disheartening to hear the words, "The adults are going to game now, so why don't you go outside and lay down in the street so a truck can make you into abstract art all over Sunshine Street, you miserable fucking liar." I'm beginning to think that Ross is upset with me, so I'll go back to my normal duty and do my part and dispense gaming wisdom with all the subtlety of a chimp-flinging flaming shit. So here we go. A list of things not to do when gaming. First, don't start a game when the environment isn't conducive to gaming. In my other group, we game in an apartment with a big kitchen table that is perfect for gaming. Unfortunately, for the last few months, that table has become a haven for an increasingly towering mound of knickknacks and trash. The owner will not clean it up, nor will he allow anyone to clean it up for him. The table is unusable, so we are forced to game in the living room. The couch seats only 3 comfortably, and there are no surfaces to roll dice, and the gamer who lives there sits at his computer chair. That means that during the game he is downloading anime or surfing YouTube looking for anything on the sequel to Transformers. Next, don't plan a serious game if your players are incapable of being serious, even for a moment. I once planned a dark and gritty investigative game, only to have one of my players create a detective that has an obsession with collecting stuffed animals and drank girly drinks. That was all he thought out. It was hard to keep the mood when they were interviewing a rape victim in a bar, and his character was smiling like an idiot while joyfully ordering a Bahama Mama. Lastly, don't run a historical game with someone who fancies themselves a history buff. Nothing upsets gameplay more than trying to get through a scene of negotiating with a medieval lord when one of your players is trying to converse in the style of speech used during that day. It always sounds like a middle school production of Romeo and Juliet, except all the actors have been drinking Budweiser all night. I eventually get frustrated and just have the NPC start talking in Ebonics. Nothing confuses a history nut more than having Richard the Lionhearted say he's about to strap on a gat to lay the bitch out flat. Oh, one more thing not to do. Don't admit to cheating in front of the GM. They will remember.
Anyways, Tom, just for the record, I'm not angry at you. That it had nothing. The game that he's talking about probably had everybody screwed up. Everybody contributed to the bit fucking up at the end. So don't worry about it, Tom. We won't get into that. And, yeah,
well, good. I need you to like me, Ross. I need you to like me.
Right. Fair enough. Anyways, of course, we have the shout-outs.
Yes, we do.
For this, obviously, October, I have 2 books. If you want to understand horror, I want to understand how to do a scary game, you should look at some of the masters of horror. Not the show, but, the real masters.
Stephen King.
Well, H.P. Lovecraft and Stephen King.
Well, yeah.
They both wrote excellent books about horror. What is scary? H.P. Lovecraft wrote a book called Supernatural Horror in Literature. You can get it on, Amazon. It's cheap. It's a good read. It's mostly about, 19th century, late 19th century, early 20th century horror.
Imagine that.
Arthur Machen and, Lord Dunsany and blah, 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 blah.
Bram
But,
Stoker.
yeah, it's still relevant. And then, of course, Stephen King wrote a book called Dance Macabre, which is about the same thing, only he talks about modern horror. And there's a whole section on horror versus gore, fear, terror, the differences between them, suspense, all this stuff. So if you want to get a more analytical breakdown of what is scary, what is horror, those are the books to look to.
Right.
They're both in paperback. They're both, good buys. So, yeah.
Amazon. Go to Amazon.
Yeah. Anyways, best prices. So, Tom, what about you?
Yeah, I have two.
What you got?
I have two, but I'm going to mention them together because really I'm giving a shout out to them because of the same reason.
Okay.
One was something I had caught the end of on the Sci-Fi Channel and bought a copy of, which was In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah.
Movie by John Carpenter.
Yeah.
That's basically his Lovecraft movie.
Yeah.
And I dig John Carpenter's stuff, most of it. I think he did put out a few pieces of crap.
Recently.
Yeah, but but The Thing obviously was to me one of my favorite movies.
It's a masterpiece.
Yes. But and this one I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other movies which go along with that are the Feast movies. There's the original, which was part of the Project Greenlight.
Right.
And then there's Feast 2, Sloppy Seconds, which I just picked up on Friday.
Right.
I'm mentioning this because the things they have in common, I showed them to two of my friends, namely Aaron and
Two
of the featherweights. And I mentioned it because those two movies, well, not Feast 1, actually, Aaron really enjoyed that because it was just
more horror comedy.
Horror comedy.
Very, very self-aware, Anyway.
Well, in the beginning of it, they actually froze the frame, named the character, their occupation, and odds of survival.
Right.
Yeah, that was cool. But the second one and In the Mouth of Madness genuinely freaked them out. And not just a little, like they were uncomfortable the rest of the night. It was worth it. It was worth the price I paid for shipping and picking them up just to be able to look at them and see them like, dude, they are genuinely frightened right now.
I in a way I envy them. I wish I could find horror movies that easily scared me because it takes a lot to scare me.
Yeah, I mean the Feast 2 is not as good. One of my favorite scenes is a guy bravely going down to rescue a baby from a car.
Yeah.
With the monsters closing in. He's running back and realizes he's not going to make it and just throws the baby to them.
Actually, I have one more shout out now that I think about it. The video game, Condemned 2 Bloodshot.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen Condemned. Well, you've seen Condemned 1.
I've seen both.
You've seen both?
I have seen them both.
Okay, where'd you see the other one?
I was one of my other friends, Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was over. He invited us over to another one of his friends' house who they were playing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the same character now. Except he's homeless now.
Yeah, and it's basically a hobo murder simulator. You run around in very condemned type buildings and abandoned buildings, things like that, and murder lots of crazy people with your fists and clubs and bricks and things like that. And then later in, you get a little Dragon Ball Z,
Oh yeah,
but. It's still, and it's worth the $15 you can get it. I paid $15 for it, and it was worth $15.
Yeah.
So it looks pretty too on the Xbox.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, with the HD video screen.
Yeah, get that. That'd probably freak them out too.
Oh god, it would terrify them. Although Condemned 1 I think is better because Condemned 1 has a department store level with these people dressed up as mannequins that. Alongside real mannequins, so you're walking by, you don't know which mannequins are fake and which ones are just enemies waiting to murder you and are just standing still waiting for you to turn your back to them. And so, of course, you can throw rocks at them, but they'll sneak up on you, and it's just, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I have to say, of the two, Tila is the most afraid.
Okay.
One time we made her watch the Silent Hill movie, and anytime after, if it's a little foggy, we can just play the theme song to Silent Hill 2. And she's like, turn that off. I don't want to hear that now.
Oh, yes. Anyways, so of course, finally we have some anecdotes. So, Tom?
Yeah. Once again, I'm mentioning my other group. On this one, I'm not going to name names, even though I've mentioned some of them before.
Yeah.
I started a Star Wars campaign on Friday. I was basing it in the Knights of the Old Republic. And I wanted it to be it's set during the Jedi Civil War, so there's a lot of, shifting loyalties. People that were their friends just a few months ago are now on the other side trying to kill them. And kind of the mood I was setting is like they were all playing Jedi. And they were, I want to play them as you're just now graduating into a galaxy that most of the Jedi are dead. Sith are everywhere. And, it's well, a little less light than they would have approved, but they went with it. Well, except for one of them. He created a Jedi Twi'lek that wanted to go around in a fishnet tank top.
Okay.
Was bubbly and giggly all the time. And clingy so clingy to his friends that he never wanted to leave their side. And loved to braid people's hair.
Still sounds like a better character than Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, we're not going there, Ross. But and to top all of this off, the visual aid he downloaded a picture for his character comes from a fan comic of Star Wars that's a gay erotic webcomic.
Wow.
Of Star Wars.
Yow.
And when I'm faced with that, it's really hard to keep things serious.
Yeah, no joke. So why didn't you just ban his character idea?
Because the next one he make would be the same thing.
Oh, really?
I honestly don't think he's capable of playing a just straight serious character.
Right.
I just don't think he can do it. And I'm sure we could, teach him how to do it as all we want. We could train him to our heart's content. At the end, I just don't think he wants to.
Right. Kind of like how you are with, big lizardy monster dude.
Well, just monsters. I love playing monsters.
Right. So
it's not just lizardy monster. I've played every kind, and I love them. I love playing them.
Okay.
But I can vary up their personality somewhat.
Okay.
Come on.
But if given a choice between a normal person and a monster, you would always choose a monster.
If it was a choice.
Yeah.
But if I was also told, you need to play a person now, I'm like, okay, I can play a person.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay, I guess so.
But I think it was that final. Here's the visual aid. Like it's from a gay erotic Star Wars webcomic.
Wow.
I didn't even bother to ask him which one.
Yeah, you don't really need to know that. Yeah. Too much information.
And the thing he put the most thought into was his morning grooming rituals, rather than his background. And
did you kill his character? Please say you killed his character.
Well, the intro session really didn't get into enough danger to kill them.
You should give him dark side points for being so self-centered.
I thought about that.
Really?
Then he'd just play a Sith who was the same way.
Fair enough. All right.
So instead of a Jedi, that's
that's actually kind of ties into the whole horror thing.
Yeah.
It's just he's running a horror game for you in a sense. He's trying to terrify you in his own weird.
And he's not doing terrifying, but he is making me uncomfortable.
There you go. So.
And Aaron, Aaron's one of the other players.
Yeah.
He actually, to his credit, was doing a fine job in the game.
Yeah.
Playing a Jedi, doing it seriously.
Well, he likes the good guys. He would play a Jedi fine, I would imagine.
Yeah. I wish I could record a game where I actually force him to play some kind of villainous character, because it's just funny seeing him try to do it. He can't. He just can't. Okay.
All right. Fair enough. So, I guess that's it. So we will come back in a couple weeks with some more horror stuff. Let us know if you need any help running your own horror game. We'll be here. So,
what could be more horrific than gay Jedi Twi'lek?
I can't imagine, Tom. The
gay Jar Jar Binks.
The cosmic horror of Cthulhu and Yog-Sothoth and Azathoth
would just go, ew.
Yeah, it has nothing on that. So, anyways, it's been Ross Payton here with Tom Church.
Yes. Thank you for finally mentioning my name.
Yes, and get your fear on. This has been episode 22. Here's some more creepy-ass number stations.